legitimately, I have no frickin' frackin' idea what's going on. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packcast, a podcast where you don't, I do Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. I just know the Packers aren't going to be on the top 10 anymore. Grossi, and today we are going to be attempting, an emphasis on attempting to rank the top 10 teams heading in to week 15 of the NFL season. That's right, folks. We only have 4 more games left in the regular season. On top of that, no more buys. The Commanders and the Cardinals, they were on the final bye week this past week, and now all we're left with is 4 games. And I got to give some honorable mentions here, teams that I think could definitely be on this list, and I think you could make a strong argument for the Broncos and the Rams. The Broncos having a big win against the Chargers. Chargers doing, of course, Charger-like things because Brandon Staley is their head coach. But the Broncos defense, of course, has been much, much better for the past 2 months, you would argue. And the offense is consistent. So the Broncos just missing out of the top 10, but still hanging around there. And of course, the Rams. A game where they definitely could have beat one of the top teams in the NFL in the Ravens, went into overtime, but bad time management by Sean McVay. Also, maybe not a call for a block in the back on that punt return. Unfortunately, did not get them the win, but the Rams definitely deserve it as they are trying to make the postseason. And the reason why this particular week was so difficult is because, and I'm asking this legitimately, who do I put on this list? Because the Vikings, they won. They have a good record. They're technically in the postseason right now. They won 3-0 against the Raiders. Josh Dobbs got benched. Justin Jefferson is banged up, so I don't think I could put them on the list. Then you have the Texans. They got blown out by the Jets, and CJ Stroud is banged up with a concussion. So I don't know if I can put them on the list right now because I don't know how long CJ Stroud is going to be out. And then, of course, you got the Steelers. They lost to the Patriots and don't have Kenny Pickett. You have the Colts. They lost to the Bengals. So legitimately, I don't know. The Jaguars lost. The Chiefs lost. What's going on in the NFL? The Giants are 1 game away from playoff contention. This is what the NFL is this season. And I have to say, while it does make for some hair-pulling attempts at doing rankings, it is really damn exciting because I just don't know who's going to win every single week. And so this is my best attempt at a top 10. And let's start off with number 10. You're still hanging on there. You got the Jacksonville Jaguars. And here's my logic behind putting them in the top 10 still. Because Trevor Lawrence, he's banged up. And Jaguars fans, I imagine they just want to talk to whoever decided to put Trevor Lawrence in that game.
Open here in the parking lot.
You stay here! You stay here with Stephanie! You take me to him! Take me to the son of a
But the Jaguars had a losing effort against the Cleveland Browns, one of the best defenses in the NFL. They are ranked in my top 10 right now, talking about the Browns. And you got to give some credit to Trevor Lawrence for just going out there because, damn, he just got hurt this past Monday night after they lost to the Bengals. And so there's concern because that defense, which I've been praising almost all season because it's been pretty damn consistent, that has not looked good these past couple of weeks. The offense, of course, is fluttering back and forth, but I just couldn't, in good conscience, put any of the other teams I mentioned for the honorable mention above the Jaguars. I still ultimately think they're going to be okay. They'll be contending for that division, especially with the Colts and the Texans losing. So Jaguars, you hang on for another week, though I got to be honest, I don't know how much longer I can keep you on there. Number 9, you got the Kansas City Chiefs. You might be thinking, Tom, they shouldn't even be in the top 10. Who goes above them? I thought about putting the Broncos above them for a hot second, but let me give the Chiefs a little bit of credit. They've lost to 2 good teams, I know, on this 2-game losing streak, and I know that their fans and players and coaches were all upset, even though it was an obvious flag against them.
The American dream
is dead.
But the Chiefs are still a good football team, and I have to point to that defense. The defense is still playing really damn well. They basically shut down the Bills in that second half. And right now, their biggest problem, ironically enough, is the offense. They just don't have the playmakers that they need. Travis Kelce, when he's limited, the whole team is limited. I love Rashee Rice, and I think he's making some great progress this year, but they need a true number one wide receiver to be able to compete against some of these teams. Now, we're talking about the Chiefs like the sky is falling, and even though that is happening in their post-game press conferences, it's really not, because they're still going to make the postseason. I think they have a chance to potentially lose the division, but their schedule is not too difficult going forward, so they should be able to win the majority of the games, though that game against the Bengals is going to be challenging because Jake Browning came out of nowhere. But yeah, Chiefs, you're still a good football team. You're still in the top 10, and yeah, it's just one of those years where we might even see the Chiefs play a playoff game, not at home. Number 8, you got the Joe Burrow-less Cincinnati Bengals. And I just got to give the Bengals credit, because when Browning came in for Joe Burrow after he was injured on that Thursday night game, I was like, you know what? Browning's looking pretty good. He's making some good throws in tight spaces. Maybe he can lead them somewhere. But these past couple weeks, Jake Browning has turned me into a believer. And now we just got to hope that he can stay healthy and lead them to the playoffs.
This is our most desperate hour. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
And knocking off the Colts this week, it's not just Jake Browning who's playing well. I like the fact that they're actually spreading the ball around. They're running it with Joe Mixon. It seems like the play calling is a bit better. And of course, that defense is really damn good. And it makes sense why the Bengals are still doing well, because they have all the pieces to potentially be a Super Bowl team while they do have their flaws. But Jake Browning going in there just needs to be efficient, and that engine will go. So the Bengals right now, they might be ranked a little bit high, but they got a hot streak going on right now. Jake Browning is playing well, and so they're at number 8. Number 7, you got the Philadelphia Eagles. Oof. And the Eagles, again, they're another team. The sky is not falling, but there are some problems over in Philadelphia, and these things have been there the entire season. You're talking about the coordinators, you're talking about the lack of explosiveness on the offense at times. There's issues. The biggest problem is they've gone against 2 contenders back-to-back weeks, and they have been blown out. First the 49ers, and then they got their ass kicked on Sunday Night Football against the Cowboys. And they're going to have to hear it from Cowboys fans who now have control of the NFC East. Now, the good news for the Eagles is that they just have the Seahawks next, and then the rest of their schedule is pretty winnable, though you never know with the New York Giants. But ultimately, I think the Eagles will be okay, but they may be in the same boat as the Chiefs. They just might not be a Super Bowl team this year with their current personnel and roster. And so while some in the media are calling for Marcus Mariota over Jalen Hurts,
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb, it's brilliant.
No! It's just dumb.
Eagles, I think ultimately you'll be all right. You're going to make the postseason. How far you'll go, that remains to be seen. Number 6, welcome back, baby. You got the Buffalo Bills. That's right. Sound the alarm, because the Bills are back. Ever since Ken Dorsey got fired, it has been a brand new Bills team. They are on a hot streak right now, and they just went into Arrowhead and defeated the Kansas City Chiefs. So listen, I gotta give them credit. And Bills fans, I feel for you, because they're hearing everybody complain about the refs, and they just want to enjoy their win. And while the Chiefs are definitely not the team that they have been in previous years, the Bills still deserve a ton of credit. I know the Chiefs are usually a thorn in their side, and Josh Allen went in there, he played pretty darn well, and while their offense was definitely limited in that second half, the Bills' defense did a nice job getting after Patrick Mahomes and limiting what they could do on offense. And the Bills, look out now. With the Dolphins blowing a lead on Monday Night Football, there is a very real chance that Buffalo is able to make it into the postseason. They have a couple of really tough games coming up, one against the Cowboys real soon, which I'm really looking forward to. And if the Bills really want to be taken seriously as a threat by the rest of the NFL, if they knock off the Cowboys, that will do it. For me, they've done enough to make their way into the top 10, sitting at number 6. Number 5, oof. You got the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins. I thought they'd be in the top 3 again, and They do it to me every single time. Every time I get high on the Dolphins, they lose, and then it's a while until I don't believe them anymore, and then they start getting good again, and I believe in them again, and then they crumble. Well, guess what, Dolphins? You're still in the top 5 because it is just one loss against the Titans, but damn, what a freaking fracking loss. You gotta clean things up. Tyreek Hill getting banged up in that game, and Tua without Tyreek Hill?
Okay, it's not working out. I'm gonna need the suit back. Yeah, that's
No, please, Mr.
Let's have
Stark,
it.
you don't understand. This is all I have. I'm nothing without this suit.
It is an ugly, ugly picture. And Tyreek Hill just seems to be the guy that makes that offense go, which is a little bit disappointing because they have so many great skill players. But I know the Dolphins got banged up on Monday night, and it really was just a total collapse against the Titans. And I know Dolphins fans, they're feeling it because December is usually not kind to their fan base. So the Dolphins still sitting in the top 5, but they got to win some freaking fracking games. Their game against the Cowboys is also coming up, and that game will be really, really interesting to see where they rank in terms of being a contender. So right now, you remain in the top 5. I don't know if you'll be able to stay there, though. Number 4, you got the Cleveland Browns. And Browns fans, you just watched Joe Flacco throw for 300 yards.
I think Joe Flacco is actually a very elite quarterback.
Joe Flacco playing a pretty damn good game this past Sunday against the Jaguars, but it's that defense. The defense is so freaking good. And I got to give the Browns a ton of credit because they have been injured to holy hell this season. And the fact that not only are they still in playoff contention, not only are they still winning, they're doing it with like their 4th quarterback. Deshaun Watson goes down, PJ Walker, DTR, and now Joe Flacco, who has been named the starter for the rest of the season. And I love this story for Joe Flacco because he gets a chance to go out and prove that he still has it. And again, with that defense, they can make some waves in the postseason because not a lot of teams have that kind of defense. So the Browns, you're in the top 5, sitting at number 4 for knocking off the Jaguars. And if your defense has anything to say about it, you're probably going to remain there. Number 3, you got the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson playing real well against the Rams, but that game was close. Maybe a little too close for comfort.
Another happy landing.
But I got to give the Ravens a lot of credit because the Rams are a tough team to beat right now when Matthew Stafford is healthy because they got so many damn weapons, whether it's on the ground or with the million receivers that they have. But good teams rise above adversity. And the way that they were able to overcome that adversity was Tylan Wallace with a punt return in overtime. And I think that just shows there's a multitude of ways that the Ravens can beat any given team. They do have a couple of tough games coming up, not only against division rivals, but they have a date with the 49ers on Christmas that's coming up, and I think we'll really see what kind of team the Ravens are, but they are a battle-tested football team right now. They dealt with a ton of injuries this year, and right now, sitting in the top 3, they could potentially even climb higher as they are currently the number 1 seed in the AFC. Number 2, you got the Dallas Cowboys, and Cowboys fans, listen, you talked a lot of talk, and you backed it all up. And the Eagles, well, they found out that you were real toys, and you weren't meant to be played with.
This town ain't big enough for the 2 of us. Somebody's poisoned the water hole.
It's busted.
Who you calling busted, Buster?
So play nice.
The Cowboys slapped the living crap out of the Eagles on Sunday Night Football. Dak Prescott over this past month, he definitely needs to be considered for MVP because he is playing out of his mind. Micah Parsons, doesn't matter if he's dealing with an illness or not, is still going to bowl over your offensive line. And the Eagles just had no answer for the Cowboys offense, had no answer for the Cowboys defense. And the Eagles team, they just crash landed there in Arlington. And now for the Cowboys, I mean, they don't have the easiest of schedules next, but they are currently in control of their division. They went out and they are going to be getting a home game in the postseason. And the Cowboys, while I know their fans say every single year is their year, this year, maybe they're actually right. CeeDee Lamb is looking real good. Brandon Cooks is coming along nicely and has really been contributing over this past month. And it just seems like the Cowboys are peaking at the right time. Of course, we'll wait and see what they do in January. But right now, props to the Cowboys, and they're sitting at number 2. And number 1, no surprise here. You got the San Francisco 49ers knocking off the Seahawks, in which it was a competitive game for a spell. And then the 49ers were like, okay, we're done now. And right now, you just have the rest of the league watching the 49ers get healthy and peaking at the right time. Yeah, their offense really is the Monstars. Because honestly, we're talking about MVP candidates, and there's two guys on the same team, whether it's Brock Purdy, whether it's CMC, and not only did they do really well this past Sunday, Deebo Samuel lighting it up against that Seahawks secondary. And the 49ers, when healthy, are by far the best team in the NFL. And as long as they can remain healthy, they are going to potentially win the Super Bowl this year, because I just don't see what team is going to stop them. Now, of course, the 49ers did lose those 3 games earlier this season, but they were injured. And right now, the 49ers have it all in front of them. They now have the #1 seed in the NFC, and I don't see them giving it up, because right now I think the biggest challenge on their schedule is going to be the Ravens on Monday Night Football on Christmas. Other than that, they should be able to win out with, I think, very few problems. Maybe the Rams will give them some issues. But yeah, all we can do is sit back and watch the San Francisco 49ers run this league and just hope that somebody is brave enough to stop them. So just to recap, at #1, you got the 49ers, 2 Cowboys, 3 Ravens, 4 Browns, 5 Dolphins, 6 Bills, 7 Eagles, 8 Bengals, 9 Chiefs, and 10 Jaguars. But it's been a chaotic week, lots of upsets. The Lions, they lost to the freaking Bears. And yeah, I don't know. Do you? Let me know. You know, I saw me at Tom Grossi Comedy, all social media, see down below. A big shout out and thank you to all the patrons and YouTube members for supporting this channel. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.